Well, I guess we're going to welcome our guest here, Clayton. Clayton, are you there? All
Yes, I
right.
am. Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I am doing great now that you're here, of course. Thanks so much for joining us in our virtual setting here. Now, let's talk a bit about your game. I know you were looking forward to showing it off at GDC. Of course, circumstances didn't allow for that. But tell us a bit about Bartlow's Dread Machine.
It's this idea for a game that I had actually years ago, and it's one of those things that you always have these things kind of like percolating in the back of your mind, things you maybe sort of like iterate on a little bit over the years, and this is one of those. This is something that maybe, gosh, over 10 years ago, I had this thought that, hey, what would a video game be like if someone created it over 100 years ago and they made it all out of tin with mechanical stuff? So I started thinking about that, but not just a shooting arcade thing, but the idea that it's like a real game. It has characters in it. They have upgradable weapons. They have a story that goes on this sort of adventure across all kinds of cool locations. And then, again, what would that be like if it was in this sort of giant, improbable device that someone made? And so, after kind of thinking about it and cogitating and doing a little bit of concept work, and I kept tucking it away, kind of putting it in the back of my mind. About 3 years ago, I published a game on ID at Xbox, which was the Voodoo Vince remaster. And I think that's where I finally made this connection that, I could just make this game and put it out on ID at Xbox. So, I partnered with a studio called Tribe Toy that's here in the Northwest sort of Seattle area. And so as sort of like my passion project, we've been working on it for, gosh, about a year now. And it's well underway, and we're out later this summer.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I actually watched the trailer, the announced trailer from a little bit ago, and I want to dive into the story. You kind of brought it up a bit of what would it be like if a video game was created a long time ago. There's also an interesting twist that was in the trailer of like the people who played it got injured. Can you dive into a bit more of what all of that means?
Yeah. So the creator of the game was this person I created named Arthur Harrington Bartlow. And Bartlow, of course, was like one of those like misguided people who had the best of intentions. That's his photo over my shoulder.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, sorry, just beating on everything.
Oh, no
around here.
worries,
It's
no
a
worries.
Great. Yeah, this is my great little studio. So
I dig it.
Anyway, Bartlow creates this machine, and he of course spends everything he has creating it. He thinks it's going to be this amazing success because it's just like nothing anyone's ever seen before. But yeah, it's 1907, so they used live ammunition and live explosives and things like that. So of course everyone's getting injured, and that's also where it got its name. It was originally Bartlow's Machine of Wonders, and then it became known as Bartlow's Dread Machine. And of course he lost everything he had. There was a catastrophic fire, and then the notion is that my team and I at Tribe Toy have been kind of painstakingly recreating this thing from old blueprints and documents and things like that. So yeah, that's the notion of what we have going on there.
Awesome. And we're going to get into the premise of the game in just a bit, but I would love if you could describe the play style of the game, because that's something that
Sure.
really caught my eye, and I think that's something that's really indicative of a lot of ID at Xbox games.
Yeah, it is in essence a classic arcade game. I mean, it's a twin stick shooter with single player and co-op modes. And couch co-op was super important to us because I love the games that have allowed me to sit with a friend or a family member and just play a cool game or go on an adventure together. And that's one thing that we thought was super important, like thinking back on things like Castle Crashers or any number of other cool games, even Cuphead, that allow people to sort of like just get together and pick up a couple controllers and just play something just splashy and fun and quick.
Yeah. So, and you're coming into the ID at Xbox Group with a unique perspective, and not just as a partner, but with a deep well of experience in the gaming industry. Now, going back to the creation of Bartlow's Dread Machine, how important is it for you to have a unique premise for a game, especially when it's an independent, like ID at Xbox game?
It's really good to have something that makes you stand out. In this case, we wanted super accessible gameplay, but the look and style is something that we think really distinguishes the game. There aren't a lot of things out there that just have this sort of purely mechanical aesthetic where everything's got gears and wires and struts. Everything sort of has this sort of physical justification. I mean, when you get under the hood of the gameplay, We took, I mean, if you were to think of it as a Robotron meets Pac-Man, there are little tracks you guide your character along. You have choice and you have movement, but you're also playing this basically a twin stick shoot. So you're just rotating your sticks and you're blasting away at the enemies. So we wanted to make the gameplay super accessible. Anyone can just pick up a controller, have a good time. But the little twist beyond that is the fact that the game is still three-dimensional, even though it's sort of like 2D gameplay. We've tilted it into a box. So even though you're playing what you might think of as like an old school like Robotron game, when you tag an enemy that's like opposite corner from like another spot, there is skill. You actually have to like really think about those shots, and you really have to choose things carefully. And then the fact that it's three-dimensional means you get a little bit of thing. You get the strategic stuff like cover. There's objects in the world that you can use to sort of duck behind or hide, but everything's also destructible, including the backdrops. I mean, everything in the game is made of tin. You can ultimately kind of lay waste to not only the enemies, but all the scenery and things you see around you in the game. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we thought that would be a distinguishing thing that would really make this sort of, we call it delightful destruction. And it was a thing that we thought would really help the game stand out.
I love it. I mean, the look is so unique, and again, going back to that point of seeing ID at Xbox games, and just independent game development in general, we're seeing a lot of really cool ideas. And so I'm curious, in this world of maybe, we have the power of Xbox Series X. We saw PlayStation 5, some stuff about that today. What are you like? Where do you see independent game development as it stands to like these blockbuster games that are using the huge power of these consoles, and like where do you see those games like in that space?
I mean, I think it's a big play field with a lot of room for everybody, obviously, and I love gigantic AAA games. But I do think the indie space is where you can try a new interesting idea. You can try something that you always wanted to try, or like with this, something that I just wanted to make for years. You find some like-minded people who maybe think, yeah, that's a cool idea. Let's go make that. And I think without taking crazy amounts of risk, like Bartlow when he destroyed everybody. You can try that. You can try things that are maybe a little different, a little more daring, a little more, strange, if you will. And I do think that that is where a lot of the great things do bubble up into tomorrow's AAA games. I think where this test lab where everyone can just sort of throw together some stuff and iterate quickly and be bold and be daring with their ideas is one thing you can do, I think, very effectively with a small team, especially thanks to the sorts of tools and technology that are available now. I think anybody can basically make a game who really wants to.
Yeah, I guess let's talk about those tools. Talking about, independent game development, I think there's a allowance for maybe more freedom in what you're trying to do. And part of that is being able to partner with ID at Xbox. Now, do you have any advice for devs who are looking to partner with ID at Xbox? And what was your experience like utilizing GameStack?
We haven't used a lot of games tech yet. That's the new and coming thing, and our game's not out until late summer. So we're still looking at the sort of technology that we're incorporating, into our development process. I mean, we have a lot of our content done, but the question though about like what I would advise someone who wants to do like an ID game is it's part of it's the clarity of what you want to do. I'd like if you know what you want to do and you know who it's for and you kind of have this idea that you want to again try something out that you think would be really cool and interesting. If you have compatriots who you can enlist to work with you, really all you need is to set up what amounts to like a business, and that can be pretty casual. I mean, you can usually just set those up depending on where you live online, and then there's an online application for ID. Anybody who lines up the right resources and signs up for that has a shot. Can make a game, and it can be on all these amazing consoles, all over the world. So it's I guess to me it's more about just kind of like having that vision, being able to drive forward with it, and being able to share sort of like that essential DNA of what it is you are doing with the people you're working with.
Yeah, and so I'm on kind of to dovetail off that question. What has been some of your key learnings? Again, everyone watching or a lot of people watching this may be trying to develop a game for the first time. What are some other key learnings that you would share with them to really get them started?
Yeah, I think again, it starts with that thing I was calling the DNA, the basic idea. I think that's sort of like the razor you use when you're making choices, because I've worked on big budget games, and when you can go down various rabbit holes, you can end up spending a lot of time on like really complex processes, or if you it's I guess what I'm saying is control your know your scope and costs. Know what it is you're trying to do. Don't try to go too far beyond that. I mean, it's possible to put together things and get that magical combination of gameplay and technology that everyone says, hey, cool. But it's also very easy to overscope. It's easy to be overly ambitious. It's a thing where I think if you just again keep your eye on what that vision you have for that end experience for your players, that will help you really kind of steer things correctly. And when you have a small team, it's easier to do. The communication's easier. Everyone's much closer to the game and the content and the processes. So I guess that's my main advice is to just watch your step.
Focus.
Design smart. Design carefully.
Yeah, that focus and that scope is super important. Again, especially when you have a small team, perhaps you're kind of forced to do that in some ways. Now, I would love, your experience. You have a very unique experience and background in the gaming industry, and maybe that's sort of also inspirational. Can you tell us a little bit about where you are as far as independent game development and just Xbox? Anything that you can share with us?
Yeah. I mean, my job, actually, my role is I'm a creative director in Xbox Studios publishing. So, I mean, part of what I do is work with the external studios that are creating products for Xbox. But I go home and I work on games. It's just this passion of mine to still create things and make things, because I feel like that helps me do what I do, and that is to really understand, the processes of making a game, what a team goes through, the psychology of what we do. I think it's very easy to get up onto a pulpit and make speeches like I'm doing right now, but it's I see that as kind of as all being parts of a whole, though. I will never stop wanting to make things and to be able to follow maybe a vision for an idea. And again, this is it's such a tremendous outlet. It's such a tremendous platform for doing just that.
Yeah, and you say it's a speech, but I think a lot of people you want to hear from that. They want the
Oh yeah,
opportunity. Yeah, they want the
that's why I'm here.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They want the opportunity to kind of learn from people who've been doing it for quite some time and whose main job it is. And so, just to circle it back to Bartlow's Dread Machine, where can people learn more about the game and where can they find it?
Oh, yeah. You can just go to www.dreadmachine.com. That's the main sort of landing page. So there are links there to there's the trailer, there's screenshots, and some stuff you can look at there. Also links to the Tribe Toy site. They're a really talented group of developers, super passionate about what they are doing. And yeah, that'd be the main place to go.
I'm looking forward to the game, summer 2020. I'm telling you, that trailer caught me, and so I really appreciate your insights on one, making an original idea, and also like staying in scope, staying focused. Clayton, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks. Really appreciate it. Really awesome being here.